Okay, thank you, Liz. And welcome everybody. And I reiterate, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to learn more about PS Tracks. I know how precious your time is. And so we feel honored that you would spend some of it with us. So the topic today is PS Tracks and EMS, the modules EMS agency needs. And the question is, why PS Tracks? Well, hopefully that the reason you're here is you're looking maybe for some more consistent checks being done by your agencies, perhaps less time doing the checks, maybe better reporting, improved record keeping, hopefully less paperwork you have to deal with. But the net end result is that with PS Tracks, you'll have more consistency and accountability as to what's going on with your agency. So a little bit of history about PS Tracks. I always like to let everybody know where we came from. Our founder, co-founder and president started the company over 13 years ago, and it was a result of his daughter, who's a paramedic here in Colorado, having reached out to him, asking for his assistance in finding a better way of doing checklists other than on paper. And after many, many hours and several renditions later, PS Tracks was created. Stands for Public Safety Tracking System. And we started off just doing truck checks. Our customers came back and said, this is fantastic. Do you think you can help us with equipment? So we built out those modules, and then our customers came back again and said, this is great. You think you could help us with inventory and controlled substance? So we've just grown organically based on the needs of our customers. We are 100% EMS and fire focused. That's who we went into business to serve. And although we can serve and do serve other industries, that's not where our passion lies. Our passion is trying to find ways to make your jobs just a little bit easier. We are a web-based solution, so you can access PS Tracks from any location as long as you have an internet connection. You can use any type of device, PC, smartphone, tablet, doesn't matter. None of the data itself will ever reside on any of those devices. The data is actually stored on a cloud server, which means for you guys is that you'll always have real-time data. And the various modules you see listed in red on this slide are the modules that we offer. We don't sell you one huge program knowing you may only need a small portion of it. So we sell ours kind of a la carte. You only purchase those modules that you have the greatest need or interest in. And this is what PS Tracks looks like when you pull it up on your smartphone. You've got all your checks here in one location. The crew member has to do is just click on the box and start performing their checks. You can have as many people in our system as you like. We don't charge per user. You can have multiple people working on the same checklist at the same time. So if somebody's doing the front of the ambulance, somebody's doing the inside, there's not going to be any duplication of their efforts. And if they had to stop performing checks in the middle, that's okay too. They just save what they've logged so far, and then when they return, they resume where they left off. Now, for you as officers, administrators, you'll have at your fingertips both a dashboard and reports that let you know exactly what's going on. So you'll be able to see what's been done, what needs to be done, and then anything that's coming due. So any inspections or items that have expired or are expiring. Another powerful aspect of our system is the ability to send out notifications to designated individuals when issues do arise. And those alerts are visible to everybody in the department. That way everybody's on the same page as to what's going on. We can also support barcode scanning if you have that in place or are planning on putting it into place. We don't sell the actual scanning software itself, but our system can read any of the scan data that's out there. And then last but not least, the data itself will always be your data. You're always going to own it. All we're going to do is kind of organize it and store it for you. And we do recognize that IT or software projects can be pretty overwhelming or time consuming. So the way that we've designed PS Tracks is to take that whelming factor out of it. And we just really ask only one thing from you, and that's provide us with your documents. You can get that to us in electronic format, so Excel, PDF, Word. You could also provide it to us just on paper. Our build team is going to take that information and they'll custom configure the system based on your needs and requirements. And we're not going to try and reinvent the wheel or tell you there's a different way you should be doing things, because you know what works best for your agency. So we'll follow your lead, but we'll do all the heavy lifting and build it out. It does take about 4 to 6 weeks once we receive your documents. After we build it, we'll train you on it, give you a couple of weeks to play with it. You let us know of any changes you want made. And then when you're ready, you let us know, and together we roll it out to your crews. But we don't just stop there. We're a full service organization. So if you need changes made or other people trained, we're going to be there with you every step of the way with your experience with PS Tracks. We do recognize, though, that sometimes you like to make the changes yourself and you'll have the same capabilities in the system that we have. But we also know you didn't go into business to be software experts. So when it comes to those bigger projects, pass those back to us. We'd be more than happy to take care of it for you. And then I'm just going to take a high-level look at our system's capabilities, and then we'll jump into the system itself, and I'll show you how it works. So our vehicle module is going to cover all the NFPA 1911 checks, as well as department-specific checklists that you have. It will include everything that's in or on the vehicle. You can have as many checklists in our system as you like, and at any frequency, daily, weekly, monthly. We do break out the apparatus into 2 categories, heavy and support. Heavy being more along the lines of ambulances, medics, rescue vehicles, and then support being more like motorcycle ambulances, water ambulances. The reason I mention it is this particular module, we do base our pricing on the number and type of apparatus that you have. Then our equipment module that would be of the greatest interest to you would be our critical asset module. And it helps you track all of your critical assets. So things like defibrillators, stair chairs, CPAP ventilation. It'll help you log in all your inspections, repairs. You'll know the stats and location of all of your equipment. You'll be able to track all of your asset-specific tests that need to be performed. You'll have a full history of your assets from purchase to retirement, and we'll provide you with both your initial and maintenance costs for any budget reporting that you have to do. We can also automate a report that lands in your inbox once a month showing you what items have expired. And then if you received any of your assets through special funding like grants or community efforts, we can even track the funding sources for you as well. Our station module just helps you manage the day-to-day operations of your facility. And it can include things like building inspections, safety inspections. We can build in chore lists here. It does have a basic inventory component to it for your location or EMS supplies. However, we do have a more robust inventory module. So if you needed to manage or track your consumable supplies by lot number, expiration date, control numbers, this module is a better fit for that activity. You'll be able to manage all of your inventory no matter where it's located. You can do events like restocks and transfers. We'll provide you with usage reports, trend reports, and this particular module includes automatic alerts that go out when the PAR levels are low. And last but not least is our controlled substance module. And this just helps you improve your management and tracking of your narcotics. You'll have a history of every single handoff event. You'll be able to view all of your vials from purchase through usage or expiration, track the inventory levels based on lot number, expiration dates. And then this module includes electronic signatures as well as PIN dual authentication. And with that, Liz, let's check that poll and see what the results are from your first poll.
Thank you, Lori. So it looks like I'm having a little trouble with it sharing, but we have a good mix of existing PS Tracks customers as well as people who are new to PS Tracks. So that is awesome. We like seeing a variety. I'm going to go ahead and launch the next poll so that we can understand more about what challenges our customers face as they track anything related to their EMS operations. So if you guys wouldn't mind taking a moment, we will get the next poll up.
Yeah, we'll give you about not quite a minute to get that completed. While we're doing that, I'm just going to switch my screen out and pull up my system demo. This is a great question. I can't wait to see the answers. It'll help drive me a little bit on what we're presenting to you today and maybe focus in on a couple of areas of interest to all of you.
All right, I'm going to end this and I will share the results right away here. There we go.
Okay.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. So great. I will make sure that we get those things covered in the demo itself.
All right, thank you, Lori.
So with PS Tracks, every user is going to receive a unique user ID and password. That way the system can date and timestamp all entries for historical and reporting purposes. When you log into PS Tracks, you're going to be on what we refer to as our landing page. And if you do have multiple stations, the user will land at the station that they're assigned to or location they're assigned to. If they do work at multiple locations, all they have to do is go up here to change, and then they can access the other location. We're going to stay in station 3 for the duration of the demonstration because all of the station's functionality is pretty similar. The side panel here is what we call our admin or menu panel, and it's primarily where officers and administrators spend the majority of their time, because that's where all the historical logs and reports are kept. The middle section is our dashboard, and it's comprised of 3 panels. The first panel is our schedule panel, and this is primarily where the crew member spends the majority of their time because that's where all the checklists live. The middle panel is our alert panel, and it is going to display all active recent alerts based on the various modules that you subscribe to. You can create alerts while you're performing checks. You can create alerts while you're in the admin or menu panel, and you can do it directly from the dashboard. I'm currently on the vehicle station module, so when I click on set alert, the first question it's going to ask me, is this regarding a location or an apparatus? The next thing it wants me to do is select a category. Based on the category that I do select, the system will determine who the recipients are that receive the alert. So if I were to select vehicle maintenance, I have one set of recipients. If I were to select fuel, I would have a different set of recipients. All of that is configured when we build out the system. You let us know who you want to receive those alerts based on those categories. Those alerts will go out via text message or email or both. Anytime you see a box in our system that's bordered in red means it's a required field. They must complete it in order to advance. You can mark your alerts as either routine or urgent, and you can add attachments. Now I'm on a PC, all I can do is upload an existing document. However, if I were on my smartphone, I could take a photo of that issue, upload it. Now you have a visual aid to go with that alert. Also, if there's any cost associated with that issue, we can keep track of those costs and report on that as well. I'm not just limited to my distribution list, so if there was somebody additionally that I wanted to include, I can add anybody, whether it's internal or external. So if you have a vehicle, if your vehicles are being maintained by a local garage, you can even include that local garage in those alerts, and that way they've got a heads up, they've got a vehicle coming their direction and what's going on with it. And we'll be setting alerts as we go through here, so you get to see them in action. Then the last panel here is our journal panel, and it's kind of like a digital whiteboard where you can share general information with everybody in your agency. I'm just going to click on Add Post and Category, and this just gives you a general idea of how our current customers are using it. Probably one of the most popular ones is the pass-on report, sharing information from shift to shift. Another one that's pretty popular is training. So if they did have a training coming up and you had a document that they needed to review or complete prior to the training, you can even add the document. So when they logged into PS Tracks, not only would they see that training coming up, but have direct access to the document as well. Both the alerts and the journal entries are designed to be displayed for a designated period of time, and you let us know how long you want that to be. We currently have our demo site set up 14 days for the alerts and 30 days for the journal entry. When that time is up and they're no longer displayed on the dashboard, doesn't mean they've gone away or disappeared. You actually have access to them straight from the dashboard because we store them in archives. So at any time you can go back and see a past alert or a past journal entry. So let's start with some vehicle checks, and we'll start with our Medic 3. For our Medic 3, I've got 82 vehicle checks that are due. That can be a combination of both daily checks or any weekly or monthly checks that have come due on this date. So I do have some daily checks and I have some weekly inventory. We have set up the checklists into what we call task categories. It's kind of smaller chunks for your crew members to take on. If you see a white box located next to the task category header, it means that there's a feature where they can do a select all. Now, if you don't want that, we can turn that off so that they're doing their checks line item by line item. However, for most of our customers, what we've seen is a combination of both. So some categories, they're okay with the check all. Other categories, they prefer the line item checks. If you need to create an alert while you're performing the check, you just click on the red triangle. The eyeball here lets me know that, or lets me see who's completed those checks most recently. And then they can always add notes. So not necessarily anything that they have to alert anybody to, but maybe just some information that they want to pass along or store historically. We can also add attachments that will help them facilitate learning their checks. So if you've got new crew members that are just starting out, we can add photos or diagrams that help assist in their learning process. Located next to the checklist is our alert panel. These alerts are only associated with this apparatus. So all that's being displayed here is our Medic 3 alerts. Anytime in our system you see a bell located next to a task means that an alert was previously set for it, so there's no need for the crew member to create another one. If they want to see the details, they just click on the red bell and the details are provided. So we've done the main category here, which is our inventory. I do have a required field here. I'm just going to add in no damage. We've got our oxygen level. And let's say that while I was performing my checks, that I noticed that the laptop was not starting up. I'm going to go ahead and create an alert for that. And then we'll go down to our next category. It's asking for miles and hours. We can also set this up as a numeric field. So if you just wanted to, a lookup menu for numeric fields, if you just wanted to have them capture round numbers, we can do that as well. And let's say that's all that I have time for. So I'm going to go ahead and log in what I have checked so far. I'll get a review screen, second opportunity to add notes. Everything looks great, so we'll go ahead and log those tasks in. Those tasks are going to go into our historical log, and I won't see them again until the next time they're due. My alert screen pops up for me to finish completing. I can add additional comments. I can mark it as routine or urgent. We can add attachments. Still a little too early for costs. And I'm okay with these recipients, so we'll set the alert. The alert will now be displayed in that alert panel located next to the checks. So anybody else who's working on the checks for that vehicle can see it's already been reported. Nobody else has to do that. If I go back out to my dashboard, and I get to my dashboard just by clicking on the badge here. When we set up your system, it will have your badge located here. The alert is also visible here on my dashboard, so anybody else at the agency can see that we do have an issue with the laptop on our Medic 3 vehicle. As a supervisor or officer, I can go in here and I can add comments or edit. So I'm just going to send a tech over to have them check it out. Again, still opportunities to add attachments. Again, a little too early for costs. Of course, we're going to keep it open. We haven't solved the problem yet. Send notification. Do I want everybody who already received a text or email about the original problem to get a follow-up email with my comments in it? And maybe I do. But these are all my coworkers. I'm not going to irritate them with another text message this morning because they can also log into PS Tracks and see my comments here, so they know that I'm working on it. If I go back to my checks for my Medic 3, I'm now down to 58 checks. And my comments are also located here. So anybody who's working on the vehicle can see not only was the issue reported, but it's been addressed. And I'm just going to kind of slowly scroll through here so you just get an idea of how we've set up the checklist for our demo site. Again, this is going to be completely customized to the way that you want your checklist set up. Now that the crew has performed their checks, I'm going to go over here to our admin panel and see what kind of information you can get out of the system. So we'll go over to our vehicle and station, down to our logs and reports, and we'll click on logs. I'll have a history of every check that's ever been performed for each of my apparatus. So we'll pick on Medic 3. I can narrow down the data that I'm looking at. I can by a specific checklist, or even a specific task group task, or who logged it in. I'm going to leave mine set to all, so we've got a good sampling of data. And then determine the date range you want to view. Maybe you just want to see today's checks or yesterday's checks. I'm going to leave mine at month to date. The log is going to include any notes that they added while they were performing the check, who performed the check, what check was performed, what category it falls into, also when it was scheduled and when it was completed. We've color coded the report too, so that anytime that you see an orange indicator dot, it means that the checks were not performed on the same day they were scheduled. If you see a green indicator dot, it does mean it was performed on the same day it was scheduled. This is just giving you a high level look to see how those checks are being managed for that particular apparatus. It also has what we call a free search function. So now that I'm in this report, maybe I just want to see anything that's related to any bag that I have. So I'm going to just type in the word bag, and it narrows down my data selection to just those items. I can also filter my data down by any one of these columns with the down arrow. So maybe once I'm in the report, maybe I just want to see all of my fluid level checks. Oops, clicked on the wrong one. There we go. Now that I have the report the way that I like it, I can export it out to Excel, PDF, or I can print from the screen. Another really nice report in our vehicle and station module is our fleet status report. And this just gives you a really quick look at what's going on with all of your apparatus. So it's letting you know where it's located at, what type of vehicle, any notes. So we've got a couple that we've got some oil changes here that are coming up due. Any outstanding checks that are still waiting to be done for each vehicle, and any open issues or alerts. Perhaps I've been off duty for a couple of days and I come into work and I didn't know there was anything going on with our Medic 1. I can click on that number 1. It pulls up my alert so I can quickly see what the issue is, and I'm brought up to speed immediately. It's also letting me see which of my vehicles are in service, out of service, marked as reserve, whether their checklists are active or inactive. And then this is an actionable report. So there are some things I can do from this report. I can manage my vehicle. I can move it from one location to another, edit the details or checklists, set alerts, and view details of history. When I click on the view details and history, I'm going to get some nuts and bolts information about that vehicle, including manufacturer, VIN number, license plate. It's also including the initial cost and any ongoing maintenance cost associated with it. I have visibility to any open issues. And then over here, I have a complete history of everything that's ever happened to this particular apparatus. I can take this report and export it out to Excel, PDF, or print from here. The fleet status report, though, isn't the only location where those action items are available to you. You can also access them directly from the dashboard. So located next to the apparatus name is the actions box. It has all the same options: manage your vehicle, move it. There's one additional function though, and that's transfer items. So if you ever move items from one vehicle to another on a temporary basis, our system will help you keep track of that with the transfer items. When I click on that, it's going to show me any open transfers. So on the 20th this month, we moved some items from the Brush 3 to our Engine 3. If I want to see specifically what was moved, I just click on View as PDF, and it lets me know what items were moved, when it was moved, and who moved them. To do a changeover is really easy. I just click on Medic Changeover. I'm going to move some things from my Medic 3, and I'm going to move it over to my Chief's vehicle. And I can grab things by entire categories, or I can just select things randomly, a few at a time. And I'm just going to grab a few things here. I'll get a review screen, again, where I can add notes, and then I'll log in that transfer. Now I have a history of that open transfer. This transfer will stay open until every single item gets returned back to its original vehicle. So to return items, we'll just go ahead and return the items from Engine 3 back to Brush 3. I click on Return Transferred Items. I have a list of those items. Again, I can return things one at a time, but I'm going to go ahead and return everything so that you can see that our system will automatically detect that. I get again a review screen where I can add notes, and then I'll log that in. The system is telling me all items have been logged as returned, so I can close out my transfer. So I don't even have to mentally keep track of what's supposed to be where. The system is doing it for me. And I will always have a visual aid that I have an open transfer on my dashboard. So if I go back out to my dashboard under my Medic 3 vehicle, I've got this open transfer tab, and I can click on that and it returns me back to my transfers. I'm going to go back over to the admin side, our menu for vehicle and station under logs and reports. As you can see, we've created some standard reports that come with the system, but we know that every agency and department is different. They like to look at data differently. So we can also create custom reports. And this is a very tiny sample of the kinds of custom reports that we can create. So we can do fuel logs, mileage reports, EMS supplies. As long as the data is in the system, we can create those custom reports for you, and there's no additional charge for us to do that. And then the last report I just want to highlight for you is actually under our alerts, and it's our alert archive. And this is where it's kind of keeping track of all your maintenance costs for your vehicles. I'm going to pick on Station 1 because there's just a lot more history in my Station 1. And I'm going to go back to November 1st. And this is going to give me a list of every alert that was ever created for anything that occurred at my Station 1, whether it was a station related or whether it's vehicle related. And it provides me with all of the details. If there were any cost associated with them. So down here, I have they had an issue with the vehicle not starting. It costs $50 to have that repaired. We had some body damage back on the 7th of April. And that was $5,000 to be repaired. So once I'm in this report, maybe I just want to see everything that occurred for my, I'm going to use Engine 1 just because I have more data there. So this is all of the issues or incidents that have occurred for this particular vehicle and all the costs that were associated in repairing it. I can take this report, export it out to Excel, and then add some totals to those columns. Then if I need to have any kind of documentation or backup for a problematic vehicle, I have a perfect report that I can give to my superiors. So that's kind of a high level look at our vehicle and station module. Before we move on, Liz, did you want to share the results of the poll?
You bet. And we also have a couple of questions. So I think we've covered most of the things on the poll. We do have one viewer who is wanting to know if you could show if, for instance, one of the checks needs an outside third party to look at it, maybe a mechanic or the tire shop, or I don't know, somebody filling an inventory order. Are you able to go ahead and show that to them? Can you send them something directly rather than having to just go into a whole other system?
So how that would happen would be that you would create an alert and you would add them as an optional recipient. And then that alert would go to them again as a text message or an email letting them know what the issues are. Now you can provide them access to the system if you want them to be able to update the system with costs, or they can just respond back to somebody within your agency and you can add the costs or any notes associated with that alert.
Excellent. Thank you. That's all we have for questions for now, but feel free to keep populating that chat, everybody, if you need Lori to show anything specific.
Okay, great. Well, let's show you our assets module next. So I always like to start with what the crew person is going to experience performing checks, because we all know that if they don't sign off on this, if this isn't user friendly for them, then they're probably not going to do it consistently, and you're not going to get the kind of data out of the system that you want. So we want to make sure that we've designed a user friendly system. So for our assets are kind of unique in that they could be assigned to an individual, they could be assigned to a location, an apparatus, or you may have some that are unassigned. So you'll see them located throughout the various vehicles and locations. Also, as an admin, you'll get a summary. So if I click down here on my assets box, on my 76 asset items that are due, I can see a list of all those assets that are assigned to individuals, those that are assigned, sorry, to a location, and those that are assigned to an apparatus. And then I also have visibility to any that are unassigned. I'm going to pick on those today. We have 29 assets that have some checks that need to be done. The first step when you're doing the critical assets check is just marking whether they're present or not present. And because these are unassigned assets, if I did mark any of them as not present, our system would automatically generate an alert so that everybody can be on the lookout for that particular asset. And then when that asset was located and marked as present, the system will automatically close out the alert. But I think what we'll do today is I'll just pick on my phone system and headset. And then let's see, we'll do our battery charger. And those are all the items that I'm going to take care of at the moment. So we'll log that in. The next step is actual checks. So for my first one, it's just an inventory and I can add notes. Then for my Panasonic phone system, we built them out pretty simple. Is it present? Is it properly working? And the same for our headset system. Again, we can add attachments and add notes, and then we'll log in those checks. So pretty simple, straightforward, easy for the crew members to do. And then when we return to the screen, we just have those items left that we have not performed checks on yet. But the information that you're going to get out of the system is pretty remarkable. So I'm going to go over here to the admin panel for our assets and go down to our logs and reports. Now the logs for our critical assets is going to be a little bit different than our vehicles because it's going to include not only the checks that were performed, but any event that took place. And I can narrow down the data I'm looking at to a specific event. Again, I'm going to leave mine set to all. I can view a specific asset, whether it's assigned to an apparatus or a location, and then perhaps I want to narrow it down to specifically who logged in the checks. Again, I'm going to leave everything set to all, and I'm going to leave my date range as month to date. This log is going to give you a little bit more information. It's going to let you know the date that it occurred, was assigned, or who or where it was assigned to, the event or check that took place, who logged it in, what type of asset, description, serial number, ID, status, any cost associated with any of the events, and then any comments. Again, this is a free search report. So maybe once I'm in here, I just want to see anything that's related to chargers. I can type in charger and it narrows down my data. I can also filter down my data by any of these columns that have the down arrow. So maybe once I'm in this report, I just want to see all of my inventory. Again, once I have the report the way that I like it, I can export it out to Excel, PDF, or print from here. I'm going to go back over to our admin panel to assets. And another really powerful report is our asset list. So it's going to provide you with every single asset that you have, where it's located at, the type, description, manufacturer, size, costs. We've even included the expiration date. So if I click on the column header from my expiration date, it resorts my data. I can quickly see which of my assets have expired and which are about to expire. It's also providing me with the last log, last location, and log by. So if any of my assets were missing, I at least know who the last person was that saw it and touched it, so I know where to start my search. This report has the free search feature as well. You can narrow down the data selection by winning any one of the columns with the down arrow. And this report is an actionable report as well. And I can do things for a single item, or I can do it for multiple items. I can log in events, set alerts, edit, assign, change status. I'm going to change my type to, we'll do it to pulse ox. And then let's say that I just want to do an annual inspection of all of them. So I can do a select all just by clicking on the top box here, or I can just do a few of them at a time. And then because we're doing multiple items, it is a batch event. So I'm going to batch and I'm going to schedule in an annual inspection. And I'm going to schedule this out for, let's say, late summer. When I click on the details for any one of these 3 pulse oxes, it's going to give me, again, nuts and bolts information about this particular item. It's going to let me know any scheduled events. So I do have an inventory coming up in May, and then the annual inspection that we just scheduled for August. Over here, I'll have a history of everything that's ever occurred for this particular item. And I'm not sure I'm going to pull up much on this item, but we did have a couple of inventories that took place in March and April. And I can export this out to Excel PDF or print from here. I'll go back to my asset list. Maybe, there we go. And we'll reset. And maybe this time I want to take all of my radios, and I want to do a software update on any of my radios that are assigned to any one of my medic units. So I'll go in here for my medic 1, and I'll just do a select all, and then we'll do a batch and we'll do a log. And we're going to do a radio software update. Again, we have some checks built into this. I can add notes. I can determine where the update will take place. So I'm going to do it at a location, and we'll do it at station 1. I can add an attachment, and we'll log in the event. Again, when I click on the details for any one of these radios, it's going to give me that nuts and bolts information about it, anything that's scheduled to be done. And then this time I'm going to take my date range back, not quite so far. And then when I view my history for my asset for the radio, it's going to include the radio software update that we just completed and the results of those checks. Again, this report is exportable, so I can send this report out to Excel, PDF, or print from here. So we can keep track of every little thing that happens with each one of your assets and report on it as well. I'm going to go back to my asset list. There we go. And we'll do a reset. And maybe this time I want to take a couple of my, we'll go in here and I want to assign the stair chairs. And this time I want to assign a specific stair chair to a location. So I can go in here for this one item, and I'm going to do an assignment. And then I'm going to assign it over to my medic 3. So there's multiple things that you can do once you're in the asset list to manage all of your assets. I'm going to go back to our menu panel under assets, under logs and reports. You can also run a cost report that will provide you with all the costs associated with all of your assets. The expiration date report, you might remember I mentioned that we can automate that report so it lands in your inbox once a month so you can see what's expired. But you can use this report as a forecasting tool too. So if I take my expiration date and I move it out for a year from now, we'll move that out to April. Then I get a list of all of the items that are going to be expiring over the next year, when they're going to be expiring, so that I know how to budget accordingly moving forward to replace those items. And I can export this report out as well. So that's kind of a high-level look at our asset module. I know that everybody wants to make sure that we get our inventory and controlled substance covered as well. So we'll move to inventory. So we, under the inventory checks, again, it's kind of like our critical assets. You could have inventory assigned to a specific apparatus or a location. I'm going to select this purple box up here for perform inventory check that's available to administrators, because I'll be able to see anything that's already been scheduled. So we do have some inventory counts that are past due for my apparatus and my Station 3 supply closet. The various events that we can perform is we can do inventory counts, transfers, usage, restock from vendor. We can combine a usage and transfer event too. So if you're doing that at one location, rather than having it done in 2 steps. So we'll start with a basic inventory count, and I'll do it for my Medic 3. We'll begin our check. This is going to give me a list of all the items that are located in my main compartment, and it'll provide me with the current quantity on hand. We have color coded the report so that anything that you see in the color green means that it is at or over max par level. If it's white, it's in between min par and max. And then if it's this yellowish color, it is at min par. If I had any that were under min par, it would be in a pinkish color. Also, when you see the numbers in parentheses behind an item, it means that there's expiration dates attached and that there's potential that they have expired or are about to expire. I can do, again, an inventory on just a few items, or I can do my inventory on all items. By the way, it's also showing me my min and max for each one of my items. So I'll go ahead and select all and we'll hit continue. When I get to the next screen, it breaks down in my main compartment each of those items. It includes any barcode or serial number. So if I needed to search for a specific barcode item, I can. Then when I'm doing my counts, if the counts are different, I just use the plus or minus boxes to change the value, or I can go in here and just free type it in. Let's say when I get down to my petroleum gauze, I know I only counted 9, so I'm going to change my value. The system automatically changes the color to pink because I am now under my min par level. My EpiPen and my Narcan both have expiration dates to them, and you can see that they have, all of them have well expired. So I will need to go in and replace those items, and I can do that from this screen by expiring them out or removing them. But we'll go ahead and leave them where they're at and log in our inventory count. The system is going to automatically generate an alert for that petroleum gauze for our Medic 3 because we are under par level. So maybe the next thing I want to do is a transfer to get my counts back to where they need to be for my petroleum gauze. So I'm going to transfer out of my central supply into my Medic 3, and we'll begin the check. And the system is quickly letting me know which item I'm under par because it's highlighted in pink for me, so I don't even have to look very hard. I just select that item and hit continue. And then it's letting me know that at my source location, there's 50 of them, so I have plenty to grab from. It lets me know at my destination, I'm only at 9 and I need to be at 10. So again, the system is doing all the thinking for me. I change my value to just add 1. It brings me back up to my par level, and we'll lock that in. And it's being a little sleepy. There we go. It automatically closed out our alert because we're up to par level for our petroleum gas and Medic 3. So maybe the next thing that I want to do is a usage, and I'm going to go ahead and do the usage transfer. And we're going to do it for our Medic 3. So I was out on a call today. While I was on the call, I used some gowns, I used some petroleum gas, and maybe I used some gloves. And we'll hit continue. It's asking me how many did you use of each of the items. And then I can also add an incident number. It's not a required field, but if I want to track it, I can track the usage with the incident. I can add notes. And then it's asking me, where did I restock it from? Or where did I transfer those items from? So I grabbed them from my station supply closet for station 3. And we'll log that in. So it didn't create an alert from my petroleum gas, even though we used one and it was under par, we placed it at the very same time. So the system recognized that we're still at par levels for our Medic 3 unit. Then the last thing to show you would be a restock from the vendor. So I get a bunch of supplies in and I'm going to restock my supply closet and we'll begin that check. Now the system again will highlight things, so I know that I need to restock some petroleum gas. Hopefully that came in my order. And let's say that I also ordered just a couple more glucose tubes just to make sure that we had enough, and we'll hit continue. It's asking me how much did we restock, and I'm just grab 2 of those and then 2 of the petroleum gas, and we'll log that in. So now we've completed all of the events for our inventory module. We've done the inventory counts, the usage, the transfer, and the restock. Let's see what kind of information you have available out of the system. So if I go over to my admin menu panel under inventory, and I go to my logs and reports, or my logs for my inventory, again, I can narrow it down by a specific event or container that was associated with it, who posted it, but I'm going to leave everything set to all and my date range month to date. It's going to include when it occurred, what event occurred, what container was involved, where that container was located, who the individual was that performed that event. And if I want to see specifically this inventory count that took place on April 1st, I just click on the view event and it pulls up all of the history for me so I can see what items were counted. And I can take this and export this report out as well. Also under our inventory module, we have an inventory list. So you'll have a list of all the inventory that you have at your location. Again, I can narrow it down to specific items, but I'm going to leave everything set to all. So we've got a great sampling of data. This will take a few seconds to run just because we've loaded a lot of inventory in our system for all the different apparatus for our demo site. So it's going to include the name of the item, where it's located at, where that container is located, the current quantity on hand, the earliest expiration date. If I were to click on that column header, it resorts my data. And I can quickly see we have a bunch in here that have no expiration date, but once I get down to those that do have an expiration date, it will show me those items that have expired or are about to expire. And I know that I need to reorder and replace those items. It's also providing me with my maximum par level, max par difference, the min par, and the min par difference. So if I'm in charge of inventory, I can click on this min par difference and I'll be able to see those items that I need to place on order for my next order out. You can also use this if there is an item that has been recalled and you need to replace it, but you don't know where all the items are. So let's say that I've got some EpiPens that have been recalled. I can type in EpiPen. Oops, if I could type, there we go. And it's going to show me all my EpiPens and where they're located at. Maybe there is a specific lot number So if I wanted to just locate that specific lot number, I could type in the lot number and it lets me know that that particular EpiPen, there's 2 of them, and they're located on our Medic 4. Another great report under our inventory, under logs and reports, is our trend report. And this is going to let you see how all of your usage is trending. I'm going to pick on station 1 for this report, and I'm going to go back to October 1st. And this is going to let me know over the months what my usage was for each item that's in my Medic 1 unit. And for some reason, it's just been really slow today. But it lets me know for each unit how much was used each month. It gives me a monthly average over this time period span of the usage, the total that was used, and then any costs that were associated with it. And if any of my items had expired out before I had the opportunity to use them, it also provides me with my waste costs. So this just gives me an idea of how well the inventory has been managed. And it also gives me an idea what I need to have on hand for each month, which months the usage is heaviest for each of my items. And also in the inventory under logs and reports, you can do the same thing with the expiration date report here. You can move out your date and see and forecast what items you're going to have to replace in the future in the next coming months so that you can budget accordingly. And all of our reports, as you probably notice, are exportable. You can print them, send them out to Excel, or print them out to a PDF. Then the last thing to show you, the last module to show you, is our controlled substance module. Our controlled substance module, pretty similar in functionality to our inventory. So the various events that you can perform is arriving checks, departing checks. We can combine those, by the way, into a shift change, administered, remove, transfer, restock, and inventory. Over here, it lets me see the most recent activity for each one of my drug containers or drug box locations. So for my Medic 3 drug box, there was an inventory performed this morning by Molly. In this box, there's 3 vials each of fentanyl, ketamine, and Versed. It's also breaking it down for me. I can quickly see of my fentanyl, 2 of them are current, one's about to expire. For my Versed, I've got 1 current, 1 about to expire, and 1 that has expired. If I need more details, I can click on the vial inventory. It gives me control number, lot number, vial number, concentration, and volume. So let's say that I've just arrived to work. We'll do an arriving check, and I'm going to do it for my Medic 3 drug box. And it's asking me how many vials are in each container. And I know I should have 3 in each because we just saw the inventory, but I'm going to accidentally type in 2 for the ketamine. By the way, we can also support seal tags if you have that in place. If you don't, we can turn that function off. Now, because I have put in the wrong amount in my ketamine, the system has a fail-safe catch for it. So it's stopping me at this juncture saying I can't complete the check because my counts are off. For my ketamine, I've only counted 2 and there should be 3. So either one of 2 things should happen. I can go back and fix my data entry error. But if we are truly missing a vial of narcotics, we need to set an alert so everybody knows. So since I know it was a typo, I'm just going to go back and correct that to 3 so we can continue on with the check. So I can use the check all feature. Or I can turn that off and we can have them do the line item checks. And we'll hit continue. And again, you can see we've color coded it, so you can quickly see we do have a file of the Versed that's expired here. And then for each one of the narcotics, we have one that's about to expire. I can add comments and notes. I can attach up to 3 files, and then we're going to get signatures. We'll let Molly witness this. And finish. So now the most recent activity is that arriving check. Now that I'm at work, maybe I'm out on a call and I had to administer one of my vials. So I will administer for my Medic 3 drug box. The first question it's going to ask me is, did you administer it? Was it expired, broken, or other? Perhaps you're removing it because it's been recalled. This we're going to do as administered, and we're going to do one of the fentanyl. And then it's asking me which vial did I use. So I'm going to use one that's about to expire. The system's going to require an incident number so that we can report the vial usage with that incident number. How much was administered? If any of it was wasted. The EPCR and the weight, those are user-defined fields. So if there's different information you want to capture in there, we can rename those fields. You can have up to 6 user-defined fields in our controlled substance module. Again, you can add comments, notes, attachments, and you guessed it, we're going to get signatures. Also, if you've got PIN numbers that you're using, we can set up the PIN numbers so that they are authenticating through a PIN number, and we'll log that in. Now, for this particular event, we have what I call keeping everybody honest message. And it says, just letting the individual know that even though you're removing it from stock, you're not removing it from history. We still have a historical record of it in our transactions. So we'll say yes. So then maybe the next thing that we do is a transfer. And I'm going to transfer from my main vault to my Medic 3 because I want to get my counts back to where they need to be at 3, 3, and 3 because currently it's at 2, 3, and 3. So we are going to begin our check. And then I'm just grabbing 1 vial of fentanyl. And then this is all of the vials of fentanyl that are in my main vault central supply. So I'll just grab one here. Again, we can add comments, notes, attach up to 3 files, and you betcha we're going to get signatures. Yep. And so the transfer, restock, those are inventory, all similar to what you've seen in our inventory module. I just know we're running close to short on time, so I want to get over here quickly to the reports that are available to you under the controlled substance. So again, logs and reports, you'll have a transaction log of everything that's occurred with every single one of your containers. It's going to provide you with the container, the date it occurred, who logged it in, what type of event, the counts, and then any comments or who the releasing medic is and their signatures. Again, I can export this report out. It's a searchable report. I can narrow down my data selection by any one of these columns with the down arrow. Another one of the reports under our controlled substance is our vial list. This will give you a list of all your active vials. And I can click on my expiration date and quickly see what vials have expired and where they're located at. I'll also be able to see what's about to expire. So if I've got some that are about to expire that are sitting in one of my vaults, I can look that up so that I can get those vials moved out to one of my drug boxes or containers where I have a better chance of getting it used. You can also do a search by your lot number or control numbers, so that if you had a recall and needed to locate those drugs, that you could do that. So let's say I need to see where all of my 23666 are. I can see exactly where they're located at, so I can go pull them off and replace them. I'll go back to my controlled substance under logs and reports. And then there's also an expiration date report so that you'll be able to see quickly all of your containers in one place and what has expired, what is about to expire and what's current. And this too is exportable out. So that's kind of a look at all of the modules that would help facilitate our EMS agencies in doing their work each day. I guess, Liz, is there any last polls that we need to take?
Hi, Lori. Yes, we sure do. We'll wrap this up. I don't have any other questions from anybody at this time. So that is it for our EMS related modules. So if anybody wants to see more, we can get you on a personal demo, bring in other members of your teams, get you pricing. I'm going to launch a poll and you can indicate on that poll whether or not you want us to reach out. Once again, we did record everything, so we will send out a recording to everybody as soon as it's available. So feel free to check your emails either this afternoon or tomorrow morning. It depends on how slow YouTube is feeling, but we'll get that out to everybody for this. And thank you so much for all of your time. We really look forward to working with everybody and talking more. And also feel free, go ahead and reach out if you don't want to reach out on this poll, reach out later and we'll get you everywhere you need to be. So Lori, thanks again for all your time today and everybody else, and be safe out there. We will see you guys next time.
Thank you, Liz. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye, everyone.